Today, we have another installment of the Get Spiffy podcast series titled Mobile Service Playbook, where we go inside real world operations, sitting down with fixed ops leaders, managers, general managers, and dealer principals who are actively building and scaling mobile service. This isn't theory or execution. Our goal is simple: to take something that can feel complex and foreign and break it down into its component parts and share how it actually works with real people doing it in the field today. What are the early decisions that matter? What drives profitability? How does mobile service evolve from nothing to one van to multiple vans to a scalable operation driving profits, customer retention, and accelerating success at dealerships across the United States? At Spiffy, we have the benefit of seeing across a lot of operators what works, what doesn't work, what decisions dealers make that unlock success for them. One of our biggest unlocks today we see is connecting multiple demand channels from customers directly to the mobile schedule, especially in areas like recalls where there's already a large defined customer demand, but execution has been historically pretty challenging. And that's what I'm excited to talk to today. Today we have Stephanie Holt, the BDC Director from Newport Richey, Florida, Hyundai. This Newport Richey store is one of the best Hyundai stores in the country. It has historically had incredibly high performance and incredibly high customer service ratings. So we're excited to see what the best in the industry are doing with mobile. Hyundai Newport Richey has been ahead of the curve. They had a mobile service before they adopted Spiffy's mobile operating system, and we've been fortunate to help them grow that business in the recent past. Stephanie has been there at the operational level and is a key member of that Newport Richey team. Stephanie, thanks a lot for taking the time to join us today. Why don't you, the audience is always excited to hear where people came from, like how'd you get in the car industry, and then how'd you get into the mobile side at Newport Richey?
Of course. And first of all, thank you, Karl, for having me. Excited to share my knowledge. My background is pretty simple. I've really never done anything else. I am a dealership girl through and through. I started when I was 16 in a dealership at an independently owned Honda location as a receptionist. And as I went through school and my start of my career path, which I didn't know was going to be my career path at the time, I developed into the BDC with that dealership, where a lot of my structure came from. I had a really great manager at that location who taught me a lot. I was with them for about 5 years, up until about 2008 when the dealership world really took a turn economically. And we went through a buy sell at that point, which I stayed with the new group, but my entire department was let go. So then I became the BDC at that point and regrew it from there. But the car industry was still kind of wishy-washy. We went through another buy sell. I kind of realized I wasn't going to be growing with that group. So I started seeking elsewhere, which is where I ended up interviewing with Hyundai of Newport Richey. I actually had applied for an accounting position. I went through that interview process, and the business manager who interviewed me was pretty impressed, but pretty much what told me, she's like, hey, with your background coming from a customer service standpoint, already having BDC knowledge, she's like, our dealership is looking to build one. We don't have one. So she hooked me up with our service director at the time, who I ended up meeting the next day, and he hired me on the spot. And that's where I've been since then. I've been with Hyundai of Newport Richey for almost 15 years now. I built their BDC from the ground up. At one point in time, had 8 to 9 rooftops that I was overseeing. Now I'm down to 2. We have just our Hyundai of Newport Richey campus. We have our used car facility and our new car facility split. And we did that because we have a lot of growth challenges at our location. We're very high volume, but we don't have anywhere to grow on site really to be able to add more bays or anything like that. And that's where our struggle is that we need to be able to service more people. So that's where mobile came into play. We were able to expand our service range and who and how many people we could service without actually having to do more construction on site.
Well, interesting. And so when you had one mobile van or one vehicle when we showed up, right? When did you launch mobile? Like what year?
So we started doing mobile in 2025, early 2025. Um, we had started talking about it at the latter part of 2024. So we had been in discussion of it, knowing that it was definitely going to be a solution for, our capacity struggles. So yeah, we started with just one single Ioniq 5 early 2025. And we had a dedicated technician who was going out and doing some light repairs, taking care of software updates, recalls campaigns, small part replacements as well.
Yeah, nice. And then so 25 and it's 20 and then so we showed up in the fall, right? So maybe it's a good time. Addison Lessing runs our for those of you who haven't, this is your first episode, he runs our director. He's the director of partner success. He's like the customer success guy. His team takes over and launches all of our customers. So when you're a new customer, you're going to meet Addison or someone on his team. They're going to configure your DMS. They're going to configure your op codes for mobile. They're going to train you on it, and then they're really going to be there as your coach in the mobile 360 operating system as your team and your business evolves. And so I think it's a great time now. Addison was working with you. Coincidentally, Addison lives like down the road from Newport Richey, so it was super convenient. Um, it's so nice to just be able to go and conveniently like, hey, drive over and see the customer today with remote work. And again, we service people all over the country. So we were at a distinct advantage with Addison and Newport Richey. So Addison, why don't you take over
Sure.
and talk to Stephanie about what your team did and some of the things they saw as they brought on the mobile operating system.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Karl. Again, Addison Lessing, Director of Partner Success. I stand at a very unique advantage of actually manage the Newport Richey account and work with Stephanie on a day-to-day basis. So we do get to talk all the time. So it's exciting to be doing this in this interview setting. Stephanie brings so much experience to the table that we talk all the time about, and I love to hear your career path. I think in all the time we've worked together, I haven't actually heard how you got to Newport Richey today, and that story of starting at 16. It's like awesome. It like Karl snatched me up at 18, and I've been at Spiffy since then for the last
I
12
thought
years
of that.
myself.
You need to give me credit for not going down the where did Addison come from rat hole
Yep,
or side. I can also tell. You need to
yep.
tell Stephanie that at a separate time because it's
Yeah, I think I owe Stephanie like lunch or dinner at this point with as much as we talk and work together. But it's always an awesome story to hear how how you got into the dealer world. I kind of had the same experience of it was a job at the time, didn't expect it to be a career, and now here we both are. So very excited to be talking to you. So I've had a lot of experience working with you one on one, and you mentioned something a moment ago about the Ioniq 5 and how you guys got started. I'd be curious to know, what does for you looks the most different from when you guys started with that Ioniq 5 to today, and sort of what have been some of the big key changes that have changed over that time from that first vehicle to where you guys are at today?
Of course. So the biggest changes is that we can offer more to our customer. So we have less limitations now. Instead of us being in a situation where like, can we do this? We want to do this. We want to figure out how we can use our greater asset now to service the customer better. We're always looking for ways to think outside of the box, and having that asset allows us the ability to do that because we have so many resources that we can use on the road.
Stephanie, can you just describe so you're talking about the asset. You guys got a van from Spiffy. Could you just describe how that's different from the Ioniq?
First and foremost, I mean, the size. Ioniq is pretty small. I don't even know that I would consider it a sedan, even though it is. So you can't carry many parts in there. There's not really a workstation. Our technician who does use that kind of has a piece of plywood that he's used to make himself a little makeshift table and workstation, which works perfect for him. And I don't have the ability to use fluids with the Ioniq either because it doesn't have the proper disposal systems set up. Whereas with our asset, with our mobile van, We have just so many more capabilities with being able to hold oil on there, have a waste system. We even have a very large water tank with all of the detailing systems set up so that way we can offer mobile detailing as well. It's in the amount of space that it offers for the technician to be able to comfortably work, store what they need. They have the space to be able to carry extra parts with them. So that way, say they're going out to do an oil change at someone's home, we can make sure that we have additional wipers, filters, oil additives, things that might be potential upsells where we were missing that with the Ioniq simply because we didn't even have the space in that vehicle to transport all these things. And it's kind of like a moving billboard for us as well, because it's wrapped, has all of our branding information on it. So we've even had customers who've seen it out in public and have called us and been like, hey, I didn't know you guys were doing mobile, and been able to give us a call. And the guys are really proud to drive around in it as well. You know, it gives them a sense of what they're doing.
Nice. Thanks for that, Steph. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you said you actually just started on to what I wanted to talk about next, which is, something I think that in a lot of these types of interviews and podcasting that may be overlooked far too often is just that BDC workflow from there. That customer calls in, they saw the van on the road, talk to me about like how mobile service actually shows up in your day to day. Customer calls in or they submit an appointment request. What sort of happens in your world from that call forward?
So for us, we just have way more things that we can offer to a customer. We're trying to keep up with certain guidelines that the motor company wants us to, plus just for customer satisfaction reasons. Sometimes people call in, they have a busy life, and waiting more than 2 or 3 days to come in just doesn't work out for them. And we have limited capacity on site. We can only do so much. So in this gives us the advantage to be able to tell the customer when we're speaking with them on the phone, listening to, their struggles with scheduling, we have something else that we can offer them. Hey, we understand, your time is very important. Let us send someone to you so that way your day is not disrupted. So we use it for a lot of problem solving.
Good. And that's so cool to hear. And I know, your team is really on the front lines of those calls. I've certainly been in your shoes, and one of the things I think is can be a challenge in mobile, especially when it's new, is working with customers who are just unfamiliar with mobile and are sort of unsure what you can do, what you can't do. And so how do you talk to customers when they're trying to ask, whether or not they can do the service mobile or how mobile even works? Sort of what's your talk track look like when you're talking to a customer about it?
Of course, we keep it very natural. I like to try to offer it to anyone who I think can be eligible, which is pretty much every customer. I feel like we should be offering it to every customer, because even if this visit doesn't qualify, at least you're getting the word of mouth out, which I believe is the best way. So that way they can ask their questions. We can go ahead and overcome those right away and let them know how this is just a great, convenient service that can help them out, help them save time. And then in return allows us to be able to service even more people, because now I have extra space in the shop for people to come who, maybe couldn't qualify for a mobile visit.
Yeah. Well, and something I know you guys do, and I'm excited to talk about because I don't think we talk about it even at Spiffy a lot on how it can be super helpful. Is you guys, as I understand, often use mobile as well to help address comebacks or maybe issues that came out of the shop that would have otherwise inconvenienced the customer coming back in or something like that. Can you talk to me sort of how you guys leverage some of those sort of revisits and how you are able to turn what might have been maybe a not great experience for the customer into a great one using mobile?
Yes, of course. Sometimes we're the problem. That happens. Maybe we made a mistake during the service visit where we didn't meet an expectation, where we couldn't get a customer's vehicle washed as promised. Maybe we broke something while they were in for service. Unfortunate things happen. Even maybe we just missed something. It could be a simple photo for a warranty claim. The most easy way to inconvenience your customer is by wasting their time. That's important to all of us. It's an invaluable thing. So for us to be able to use that leverage and say, hey, we're really sorry, we messed up, this happened, but don't fret. Let us come to you. We're not going to waste any more of your time. It's really helped us overcome situations like that, because that's typically the first response that we get from a customer is, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to come back again. So if we can go out and take care of that for them, it usually helps win over situations, because the customer does really feel that we went above and beyond to make sure that their time was valued.
Yeah, that's such a great approach and solution, and something I want to talk to more dealers about, and to the audience as well. It's such a great tool to be able to take. Like you said, that headache, that customer that's frustrated because look, we're Spiffy as an independent service provider. We certainly know things will happen in the field. Inevitably, they do. Someone will make a mistake along the way, and how you make that right really defines you and your customer service as an organization. And to be able to offer something like that, a tool to say, "Hey, we're coming out to you. Don't worry about it. You do not have to come sit in the shop. We're going to get this squared away for you." Such a great way to turn what could have been a negative experience into a positive one and keep that customer coming back. So, my hat's off to you guys. I saw you guys leveraging that a lot, and I love to hear that story. So when you're making these appointments and you're talking to customers and getting them scheduled, how is, and this is great because I know you have experience pre-mobile on the BDC side. How does that scheduling process differ from, scheduling in the fixed shop versus scheduling mobile?
Of course. So it wasn't always the easiest thing. It used to take a lot of brain power, because before we partnered with Spiffy, we were just using our standard scheduling tool to book an appointment, and a spreadsheet to document, at a glance, where are all of these customers, locations at. Because our current scheduling solution did not have any information to tell us, okay, well, if your 8 a.m. appointment is in this city, it would make sense that your 9 a.m. could be in this city to keep everything flowing as you would hope. So now that we are using Spiffy for our scheduling solution, it's helped to cut down on the time it takes to even schedule an appointment in dealership, because we can very easily use the Spiffy system to see, what routes are optimized for the best day, the best time, the best service for the customer. So it's gotten very easy for us to get everything scheduled. The flow is really well. We love that we can see, how long it's taking to get to one appointment to another. That way, if we do have anything that we need to squeeze in on the fly, we can easily do so. Whereas prior to this, you could have spent 20, 30 minutes really deep diving into one single appointment to make sure that it was going to work out exactly how it needed to.
Yeah, and I think I've told you, Stephanie, in our in-person interactions and everything, I've lived in a very similar world that you have. I've worked what was basically the BDC equivalent at Spiffy, and just yesterday I was going through some old documents trying to find something I was looking for, and came across like our handwritten MPI and a spreadsheet that I was using to schedule, it brought back some PTSD very quickly, a moment of, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is how we used to run the operation. I can't believe we got the services done, right? And so it's so cool to hear from an operator like yourself who's also felt that and experienced it and lived it, of going from, having to manage it through a spreadsheet and Google Calendar and Google Maps, and putting it all on paper, to being able to at least get a good glimpse of what your routes should look like on a day-to-day, where your technicians are. So that's really awesome to hear, and I'm glad it is working as well as it is for you guys. I know that we get the opportunity to go over it a lot.
For the other people listening on the pod, that's really the thing that unlocks scaling of the mobile business. When the BDC work of scheduling mobile becomes easy, then RO counts on the vans go up, the vans become more profitable, they can solve problems. Then Stephanie and her team can say, look, we got 2 vans and they're full 5 days a week, 6 days a week. We need another van, right? We need another technician. But it's really that automated scheduling around a couple of things, right? It's taking in all the demand, like where's it coming from? BDC, software, recalls, in the field, and then automating that in the sense that, again, it's interesting, Stephanie, you say it's like it's like hard work mentally to figure that out, right? Like humans are not good
It
at
is. Yeah.
mileage, time, zip code, where, do I have to cross a bridge? What's that, is it rush hour? There's like 20 components,
Hmm.
and, not surprisingly, computers are really good at that. So let the computer do that. And then, let the BDC human go do human things like talk to the customer, say thank you, offer upsells, etc. So have you seen the efficiency in the BDC drive more like customer success from a standpoint like upsells and cross sells and that sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure. Them being able to have more time, they can actually have those conversations, instead of knowing, okay, I have to do all of these things to even see if I can get this person scheduled for their day and time. That's the easier part now is, okay, we can get you in this day or time without having to think, where was the appointment before or after this? So they can easily get through what was the trivial part and then spend the time saying, okay, so we've got you in for your oil change, your tire rotation. You can look at what their current mileage is and let them know preemptively, would you like to go ahead and get the fuel additive that's due this time? By the way, I noticed we did recommend those wipers to you last visit. Did you get them done yet? If not, we can put them on the truck for your mobile appointment and get them taken care of. And we just started launching detailing options to our customers. So now we even have the time to say, hey, I know we're coming out to you mobile, maybe you were lacking the clean car after your visit. No worries, we got you, and we can prepare the technician ahead of time. That way we can save the tech time of having to upsell on the fly as well. We can kind of knock some of those out ahead of time, or at least we're able to get that initial notice out. Hey, these things are going to be due. And now when the technician is there and he says, hey, per your multi-point inspection, you can see that these items are needed, and they'll go, okay, the person I spoke with on the phone also mentioned those, and it kind of backs up and really helps to get that upsell locked in.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, there's something to be said about having the technician in front of you. And, I think that there's often the struggle we run into, especially with advisors, when you're in the bay or, you got the vehicle in the bay or on the lift and you're telling a customer, hey, my technician noticed X, Y, and Z. Sometimes it's hard to sell that because you're like, no, the customer may not even just believe it's happening, but when the technician's there, they're showing it to you that, hey, I noticed that,
Mm-hmm.
those wipers are streaking pretty bad, or I can see that they're cracking, or that I can see that your cabin air filter looks like it is long overdue and needs to be replaced. So I would say for you, if you were to give advice, because this is something that we work with all the time when new dealers come on, I think the people that are most nervous aren't the GMs, it's not the service manager, it is usually the BDC team and the service advisors, because the first thing they're thinking of is, how in the world am I going to manage this? So if you were to give a new BDC team coming into mobile, one piece of advice, like what's the biggest thing they need to get right going into mobile?
So that's a good question, because I often wonder, are we even doing everything exactly right? Even though the data proves that we're doing a pretty good job. Um, but I would say just be, be prepared to be able to set time aside to learn. Don't be afraid of it going in. Think of it as a positive tool that can aid you in your everyday conflicts that you deal with. You just can't go into it thinking of it negatively. I would definitely say it would be really great for any BDC team to have someone who can become an expert, so that way you can have proper training to those trickling down. It can be hard to do it as a group, so if you can start with at least one person who's dedicated, it is super helpful. Otherwise, it can feel overwhelming while learning. So I think that would be my biggest take, is to try to have someone who can just become that expert, pass down their knowledge into the dealership, which we're very thankful to have someone like yourself, Addison, who is also an expert in this and was able to share a lot of knowledge to help us get to that point.
Well, first off, thank you very much, and it's absolute my pleasure. I enjoy working with you guys, and like Karl said towards the beginning there, I have the unique and distinct advantage where if something goes wrong, we can be there, and well, Florida traffic. I was going to say 40 minutes. We'll call it an hour, depending on the
Yeah.
day, but I can be there within an hour. But no, that's really great to hear, and you nailed something that we try to recommend to dealers from the jump in every kind of capacity, which is have someone that owns it, have someone that's dedicated to the mission. If you sort of just make it part of someone else's already full-time job, they're not really able to own it and give it the attention it deserves. Because they already have a full-time job. Dealerships are extremely busy. You and I both know
Yes.
this. And it is incredibly hard to take someone who's focused on trying to make their current role successful and then also trying to launch a new program. So we were certainly fortunate, Stephanie, to have someone like yourself running the Newport Richey mobile program to the extent that you are. But that's all I have from my end. Karl, I'll kick it back over to you. Stephanie, thanks so much for taking the time and chatting with me today.
Yes, you're welcome.
Hey, Steph, I'd like you to, so tell us about the technicians. When we talk to new dealers and we talk to BDCs, leaders, one of the things they say is it's hard to find technicians for the shop. How am I supposed to find technicians for mobile? Um, I have problems managing my guys in the shop. I can't imagine giving them a truck and setting them loose in the city. Like, just sort of riff on the technicians, who they are, how they're doing, sort of what you guys thought about when you got started, and how's that evolved over time.
Sure, of course, their first thought is, who can I send out in the city? Just like you're saying, it's got to be someone who is responsible and really wants to do this. From our standpoint, if there was any sort of doubt from the technicians that we spoke with about it, then they just weren't my candidate. That's not who I was looking for. I wanted someone who was going to be fully dedicated, understood the purpose and what we were trying to do. Our shop technicians at first, they were a little weary when we were introducing mobile service because they felt like, oh no, is this going to be taking our business? They were worried about getting less hours, but really what's happened is we've been able to give them more because, small jobs like oil changes, tire rotations, filters, which they're happy to do, we're taking up a lot of their time to be able to do larger jobs that they're making more hours on. So I'm glad that we've been able to prove that in the shop, and the technicians are no longer worried about mobile service taking their business, and they see how it actually aids them to be able to take care of greater issues. But yeah, we sat around and we talked to quite a few of our technicians, especially when we had Spiffy coming out to demo our van for us. They came out, showed us how all of the equipment worked on the van. We had the technicians from the shop come out and observe this happening. So we were able to kind of real life see who was interested and who wasn't. We ended up landing two pretty solid technicians. We have one who's more lighter duty in the Ionic 5, and he's just so eager to go out and help with whatever he can. He usually stays a little bit more local to our dealership, so we've even been able to send him out same day for things and resolve customer problems on the fly, which has been great. And, he loves it because it's gratifying for him to know that he got to go out and help that person. And then our technician who is driving our mocked up van that is capable of doing oil changes and details. He's a full circle technician. We got him from a take 5 where you typically are the service advisor, you are the technician. So he's just really great with customers. We get so much positive feedback from the two technicians that we went with, from customers, texting us, calling us in, telling us how great the technician was. So yeah, you got to pick the people who want to do this, the people who see the mission, the ones that are empathetic and have hospitality. They want to help people, and we have found that those have been the most responsible and reliable people to have on our mobile team.
Yeah, thanks. It's so common and experience across our successful customers. I think number one, you said this, they have to want to be on the mobile van, right? Like, don't pry somebody out of the shop and tell them they got to get on a van. That's never really works very well. Number two, they need to have this customer service skill set that traditionally mechanics, it's like never been on any level of mechanics job description, right? No one interviews for, are you personable? Can you talk to customers, et cetera, et cetera. So they need to have some of that. It doesn't need to be, you know, incredibly sophisticated customer service skills. They just need to be personable, right? Say hello, thank you,
Yeah.
answer questions. And then the thing we talk about a lot is like, you need to give them a set of guidelines of problems they can solve and problems they can't solve. And like, hey, call me if this happens, right? Wiper blades, sure, upsell them, put them on the ticket, other things. Hey, we want some, again, you need to give them sort of real clear guidelines on sort of what their range of initiative is. Because you get, Addison have seen this, you get 40 or 50 guys on your team, and some of them take too much initiative sometimes, and really trying to do a good thing. It's just they dig themselves in a hole, and then you gotta dig them out of it sometimes. But those are the big things for those of you listening. They got to want to do it, and they have to have some customer service skills. And as you've heard from Stephanie in Newport Richey, the customer feedback on mobile is spectacular. They love the idea of come to my driveway, solve my problems. They love the idea of I don't have to go to the shop for things that can be done not in the shop. Customers get, I need a new transmission. They need to give you the car for a couple of days, right? Hey, I need to rebuild my engine or whatever the sophisticated sort of like rip the car apart, body work, right? Paint and body work. They get all of that. But like, why can't I have my oil change done in my driveway? Why can't you fix these computer updates in my driveway? And it becomes such an advantage for customer service. And the thing is, we say, mobile extends the brand right into the driveway, and it really creates this moat around the customer where they're not going to go to Jiffy Lube or Take 5. They're not going to go look at some other OEM. Look, I buy my cars from Newport Richey Hyundai, or if I don't want a Hyundai, I'm going to go to the used lot. And that, again, that mobile business just becomes such a difficult moat for the competitors and you guys have lots of them, right? To penetrate because of that customer service thing, especially for that, convenience.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to share, Steph, before we sign off? Again, I really appreciate you giving us some time out of your busy day. I appreciate you sharing the experience at Hyundai of Newport Richey. And we're so proud to have you as a customer and a partner.
I just want to thank everyone for having me and, for your questions. Mobile service has been a really great addition for our dealership. We know that I don't even hope that it'll continue to grow. I know that it's going to continue to grow because we're already having so much success. We're excited to see what the future holds. I'm excited for any dealership that is interested in finding more out about mobile service and implementing it at their dealership. And we're really excited to just keep expanding the types of services that we can offer to our customers. Our future is to be able to get into fleet accounts. So we're not only servicing our customers, but even our local businesses around us doing events. We can really see this molding into something even greater than it already is. We're seeing hours per RO go up in the shop, which in return is helping with revenue and profits. And yeah, it's just been great all around. And we're happy to be where we are and to see where we go.
Excellent. Hey, thanks, Steph. Thank you so much. My name is Karl Murphy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Get Spiffy, and I'm here with Addison-Lessing. And today was another installment of the Get Spiffy podcast titled Mobile Service Playbook, where we go inside real world operations today at Newport Richey Hyundai in Florida. And we talk to great fixed ops leaders like Stephanie Holt about how to do mobile and how to be successful. Thanks for your time. See you out in the field.
Yes. Have a great day, everyone.